Alrighty everyone, so in today's episode on Double Bits Workshop, we'll be diving into the CNC side of the Robo CNC by good old Comgrow here again. So as I said a moment ago, we're delving into it and seeing a little bit more exactly on the CNC side of things, exactly how this works. Pardon, there's a little bit of a grumble in my voice. I'm getting over a head cold. Nothing too bad, luckily it's just one of those good old winter colds, sadly. But bear with me on the lungs and stuff not working too good. I got a little bit of the laryngitis for it. So what we'll be doing in today's episode is I'm going to be removing this laser, so it's pretty easy and straightforward. So I actually reconfigured it for it to be on the bottom, and I drilled a hole on top and threw a little screw through it to kind of rest for the laser itself. Very gently pull out the two lines. And on the back, I have turned both switches to the up position for the CNC bit of it and turned it to the back. So now we have our laser. Just gently set that there. And now we can reattach our collet with a nice little drill bit here. And I've actually picked up some corn-shaped end mills from good old Jinmitsu. Got all these interesting names. But I'm going to be taking a smaller-ish size. Alright. Let's see. It appears as though these ones do not actually say the size, so it's mid-size between 0.8 and 3.0 millimeter. So it's about the in-between size is what ended up snagging. So slide that little guy back up in there. Grab my 2 wrenches. Alright, and it appears as though everything is ready to go on the unit. So now we're back into the CNC mode. I played around with the laser a little bit more. We'll kind of get into that a little bit later. I'll show you some of the things I've been able to laser engrave with it at the moment. Like I said, I was going to take a little time, kind of play around with it, and kind of come to you guys with my findings. For the most part, still very much beginner stages. I haven't actually fully delved into it. I've been busy on top of that too, so it's kind of would have had time to jump in and kind of play with it here and there. So today we'll be looking at the CNC software. I believe it's called CNC GRBL as well. The prior software we were using is the Laser GRBL, which GRBL software is anything having to do with the Arduino motors, which is what is on the back of this unit. So just kind of give you a little preface on that. So I'll be looking into using some different G programs or G code. The test file that they have will work both ways for CNC and also for laser engraving from what I have read. So we're going to try out their test sample. It's just a little kind of target, and it's multiple circles going into the center, and then inside of a square is where those will rest, and then the little points coming out from the center of it. So it's pretty straightforward. Hopefully I can test that one out. I'm going to just grab some basic pallet wood again, and we'll try it out here on a test piece next. Alright, so I'm starting to get a little bit of a hang of it. I played around a bit on the GRBL control candle, which is the appropriate way to use that. It is the Arduino software that's most commonly used for like the 3018 unit. That is the DIY CNC unit that you can purchase. It's technically the cheapest unit. This unit's a little bit more expensive, but so far I've been really enjoying how much stronger the motor is, the gantry, everything seems to be working phenomenal. From what I've been able to read, it's a little bit more of a downgrade going to the 3018. There are more upgrades for it, but you end up paying a lot more in the end than you do on this one to get pretty close to it. The first few tests that I did, as far as like, this is the first test file that they have on there. It kept pretty darn good. All I had to do was lightly sand it a little bit to get any of the little bit of fur that was sticking off. The second test is more or less my downfall of how I ended up actually coding the G-code, and the file that I was using ended up actually kind of trying to do a shading. So if this was to be in the laser engraver, this would have turned out a lot better. But since it was in the CNC mode, this ended up turning out just as a negative space. The ultimate really good one, when I got the right file and everything kind of dialed in, was this one. And that turned out absolutely bomb.com. The last one I did was on this here stand. And it turned out pretty good. There's a little bit of tear out right here. And some of the lines seem to kind of catch a little different, and that's also the material type. And the other thing is I'm a little off center, just getting a little bit more dialed in on that. I lucked out on this first one and got it almost smack dab. So I might end up using this, cutting this off and doing something with this down the road. I'm not quite sure, but I have the file now, and I'm going to be playing around with it on the laser engraver as well. So this is what you saw as kind of a finish for the last laser engraving. So right after this, right after I filmed and everything, I ended up continuing and figured out on the laser engraver how to make it look a lot better. So this is a pass through, and it's just a negative of the other one. So this is one way of doing it. Otherwise, the line work of it from this guy was actually done on a friend's laser, and that's how he originally made this. So I'm excited to see what my laser looks like using the same file, which is what I used to create this. So this little guy is awesome. So far, hopefully you've enjoyed yet another travel into playing around with the CNC/laser engraver. It has been an absolute champ, and I'm really enjoying it. The end mills that I got for it, these Genmitsu corn-shaped ones, highly reviewed with this unit, work phenomenal. The software that I ended up using a lot was the Easel program, which you can create a free account and utilize it through their browser, or just your normal browser and on their website. But utilizing their software seemed to work really great with Machine. It was pretty much just plug and play from that point, and I was able to change everything over from an SVG folder into a G code. That these files that I kind of tweaked and played around with, now I just have the G code right off the bat, and I can use that through the GBRL control software that came with the unit a lot more easily. So conversion programs from turning a lot of different images into SVGs and then taking those SVGs and then converting them into G code is kind of the uphill struggle depending on what kind of thing you want to work with. Otherwise, utilizing certain software like Easel, which is kind of just a plug and play pretty much, is probably going to be my go-to. I know Inkscape is another system kind of in between, or software I was using and playing around with, so I'll kind of give a little bit more of a breakdown here in a little while once I get more hands-on with it. So I know this is kind of an odd jargoning of things, but I'm learning. This is all very new to me, but I'm enjoying the end results of it, and the ease of use is just getting easier and easier, and that I'm actually able to produce something that's in front of me. I would feel no qualms about repeating the same process over and over again with what I already have and utilizing it to mark all of my product that I come up with. So if I end up doing anything else for these phone stands or other product that I'd like to sell, I can use this CNC to immediately throw my logo in the corner of it. I can scale that up, bring it down, play around with it. I now have that at my disposal. So I'm super excited for it. And eventually when I get a bit better on it, I'm going to do kind of an idea and comparison probably around 6 months or so with the unit to see how needed this is in the workshop. Because I know that's a question that I had that was not really answered right off the bat through a lot of different YouTube videos I was looking at to see, is this a meaningful purchase in my line of hobby slash work, if you will? Is this something that you would need in a workshop, or something that would benefit you greatly in a workshop, or is this too much of its own avenue? So we'll kind of explore that a little bit more as the weeks go on. So thank you all so very much for watching. If you got something from the video and you really enjoyed it, hit the like button if you don't mind. Subscribe if you aren't already. Helps me out greatly. And if you want to know each and every time I upload a video, make sure and hit that notification bell. Thank you all so very much, and have yourself a wonderful day.